In this Managing Asia series, we look at how companies from different industries are tapping on future trends to meet not only ESG goals, but also to build a sustainable business. Hello and welcome to Managing Asia. According to the World Health Organization, 1 in 6 people will be aged 60 and above by 2030. And by 2050, that number will double to 2.1 billion. In this episode, we look at what Lendlease, one of the largest developers of retirement living in Australia, is doing to tap into this trend. I talked to CEO Tony Lombardo to find out. Lendlease describes itself as a globally integrated real estate and investment group. It develops everything from shopping malls to offices to hospitals and sports stadiums. But did you know that it is also one of the largest developers and operators of retirement living communities in Australia? The group has 75 retirement villages that provide housing to around 17,000 residents across the country. Lendlease has also expanded the model overseas, having opened a retirement complex in China. I caught up with CEO Tony Lombardo to find out how important a business segment this is for the company. Tony, thank you so much for talking to me. Lendlease has owned and operated retirement villages in Australia for more than 30 years. What's been the company's philosophy behind building and developing for the silver-haired economy?
Well, we see them as a growing part of the population. In Australia, our population is 25 million, of which 5 million are in that silver greying population. And today's population needs more service. And so we see it as a really big growth area for us to grow this portfolio. And it's about looking after our seniors. They've had rich lives being where they've actually enjoyed life. Now it's all about wellbeing and service. So the population's really demanding this senior living product.
In terms of facilities, what do these buyers in retirement villages look for? And has that changed over the years?
Definitely. I think the requirements now, in the early days, it was just a place to live. Now they're after really 5-star accommodation that has all the benefits of going to a 5-star hotel. And a lot of our staff are actually coming out of the hotel industry because they've really got that standard of service. So there's a real demand with just facilities from gyms to pools and what you'd expect just to stay active. But there's also it's providing on-site medical services that you're actually taking care of them. But also they want these community activities arranged by ourselves. So we're part, those life experience coordinators for them to make sure they're all getting together and doing a lot of activities.
In the last few years, the pandemic has really hit your retirement living business hard. To what extent are sales now picking up, and how soon before we see demand climb back up to pre-pandemic levels?
Yeah, well, this year alone, we saw our sales back up to pre-pandemic. So we're seeing that real activity. If anything, COVID actually probably solidified the need for the service because we really stepped up when it came to the healthcare and the wellbeing aspects of what we do. And our customers really felt that. So I think it's that point of difference around really caring for the people you look after who live in your village. So I think it's actually been a game changer to help build our brand and show what it is to live in a community like ours.
Lendlease is listed on the Australian Stock Exchange, and just recently you were approached by a shareholder activist to tell you to boost your share price, and by doing that he wanted you to get out of the retirement business altogether. What is the position you're taking, and how tough has it been to exit a business that's been such a big part of the company's legacy?
Yeah, for Lendlease, what we always aim to do is build up these portfolios of businesses, and then we'll bring in third-party capital investors. So with the retirement business, we've brought in Aware Super and APG as our cornerstone investors in that. So we've divested our stake down to 25%, which we'll keep into the foreseeable future. What we now will do with our capital partners is grow the platform and aim to really take it to being the leading platform. And we want to actually keep expanding from a portfolio. So from a business perspective, it's always about using our capital as efficient as possible to really help grow and get up the security price. And when I look at what the activist shareholder told us, it was aligned to the strategy we were actually executing. So there's an alignment in between what we're doing and what our shareholders expect of us.
What sort of long-term growth and value do you see in retirement villages?
Well, if I look at the population and the baby boomers in particular, that senior living population is going to continue to grow. So if I gave you China, for instance, we were expecting by 2050, 437 million people will be greater than 60 years old. So it shows you how deep this market's going to become. And therefore, a lot of governments around the world are trying to work out how do they service and provide the right needs for our senior people. So I see this as a continual growth sector for many decades, and we'll be focused on how we capitalise on that sector.
What kind of percentage are you looking at in terms of growth?
One thing with our Australian portfolio, it's about 12,000 units today. How do we build that up to about a 20,000? So really doubling the size over the next 5 years. And that's what the key is, to work with our capital partners to be able to do that.
And it's not just Australia, of course. In September 2021, the property developer welcomed residents to its senior living community in China. Arda Gardens offers services and amenities similar to those found in hotels, such as 24-hour concierge, gyms, and a heated swimming pool. It also has a restaurant run by a 5-star hotel chef, and there's a nutritionist on hand to plan the perfect diet. You unveiled your first flagship senior living project in Shanghai, China. How different is that development from the ones you've built in Australia?
There's about 20 buildings with about 800 units, which will serve about 1,300 people. So our largest village in Australia is about 500 units. So this is a very different scale. It's really offering a different proposition because we needed to understand the people of Shanghai and what they needed. And ultimately, food's very important. So it's making sure you got the food offering, but also understanding the healthcare system and how we connect up and give green channel access to tier 1 hospitals there. It was really understanding the environment, and it's a little bit different because we're offering different memberships from 1 year up to 30 years. So we're really trying to make sure we get that right and meet the needs of the Shanghainese people.
Okay, so you've completed the first phase. What was demand like?
We've sold 80 units to date. We've got over 100 residents that are now moved in.
What are your plans to build more retirement homes in China? What does the pipeline look like for you?
Well, for us at the moment, was always prove up our pilot, and that's where we're at the moment, to make sure the product resonates for the people. And I think hopefully over the next 12 months we'll do that. Then we'll look to bring in an investor similar to what we've done in Australia to then look to grow that platform. So hopefully we can take it to 4,000 to 5,000 units over time, but we want to have a capital partner like we've done in Australia.
So you started in Shanghai. Any other cities in China you're looking at?
No, we said Shanghai first, because Shanghai's 25 million people. Currently there's 5.9 million people that are greater than 60. So the need's there, and we find that let's focus on one market to really get the scale right before we start thinking about other cities.
What are some of the sustainability efforts you've embedded and implemented in your retirement homes in Australia and China?
We aim to make sure we're building buildings today that reduce demand and consumption. So we'll do the things from in solar heating, from solar panels on roofs, making sure that it's all the LED lightings, and we're looking to make sure we've got renewables to power what we deliver.
Retirement village business is just one part of your overall big portfolio, real estate portfolio. How profitable is this business for you, for Lendlease?
Well, it's definitely hitting our return metrics. You know, from an investment perspective, it's within those 6 to 9% ROIC metrics. That's what we set for that platform. So it's delivering that return. So for me, it's about making sure we grow it sustainably for this point onwards.
And finally, as the newly minted CEO of Lendlease, what leadership will you provide to take Lendlease to its next level of growth? Is the next phase of expansion all going to be about going overseas?
Growth for us really is overseas. So we are very much focused on Asia. We see Asia as a really big opportunity. There's 5 billion people across Asia, so there's a growing need for real estate. So we'll continue to look to expand, but we're also expanding our operations into the US. We've recently won Google's portfolio to deliver 4 big master plan precincts for them. In Europe, we're actually well positioned in both Italy and the UK to grow the portfolio. So from a Lendlease perspective, it's really trying to grow that well-rounded portfolio everywhere internationally.
Tony, thank you so much for talking to me.
Thanks, Christine.
And that was Tony Lombardo, CEO of Lendlease, speaking to me here in Singapore. Hope you've enjoyed the program. Don't forget to catch the next episode of Managing Asia. I'm Christine Tan. Thanks for watching.
Brought to you by Credit Suisse.